So think back to that time and place, 2001. Um, there was, at least at Cornell, and I'm sure at other competitive schools, there was this real push to be like, you're going into finance, real estate, working for a big consulting firm. By the way, the consulting firms that everyone wanted to work for, they don't exist anymore, half of them, more than half of them, right? They're nowhere to be seen. And there was a lot of social pressure to do that. And so I would certainly say, listen, there was very little latitude for someone to be, I'm going to work for a small business. I'm going to work for a startup. I'm going to work for my dad's company and grow it, right? You'd almost people look around and say, what, are you crazy? You're not working for Accenture? Well, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And so I think it's very easy at 20, 21 years old to really buy into that. Like, I need to have the polo shirt with the Accenture and go to their, camp down in St. Petersburg and it's all nonsense, right? First of all, what am I consulting on? I don't even know anything, but okay.
Jeff and I have known each other since our days at a Montessori nursery school, where our ambitions included selling pencils made out of sticks. By the time we graduated from college in 2001, that early entrepreneurial spirit had been replaced by something else. The idea that there was a clear set of good jobs: consulting, finance, real estate. We reflect on the social pressure to choose the prestigious path, even if you weren't entirely sure why. We also talk about the myth that adults have it all figured out, the reality that nobody gets a playbook. You hit the milestones, but no one hands you a manual. And we talk about what changes over time, the shift from optimizing for status to optimizing for time, the decision to design a life where, as Jeff puts it, you have a sidewalk that goes somewhere. Off we go. Enjoy. Jeff Gurtman, hello. Welcome to I'm Here Too.
Great to be here. Good to see you as always.
As always, I think, Jeff, you actually get the prize. You are the guest who has known me for the longest amount of time in this world.
Well, I think individuals other than family who have been in my life, I think you win that prize as well. We have been connected for a very long time.
Yes. I think, how old, like 4? Would you say 4, 5? No, 4. We were in nursery school.
But sure. And a lot of people say like, oh, I have this friend that goes so far back, or this acquaintance, or this person I remember. But it's like, I have actual memories of our nursery school classroom and of playing together. Like, I have actual memories of what that looked like. Now, it may be distorted. I don't know if it actually looked like that, but in my mind's eye, it did, right? This is kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, so, we'll get into this sort of like the time passing, but because you and I have had this connection both as children and as adults, and I think we both have vivid memories of that time, I just want to take the viewers back, if you'll let me. Like, we went to a Montessori school, so that meant we had a lot of self-directed opportunities. One of my most vivid memories, Jeff, I don't know if you remember this, is in the playground there were sticks, and we would pick up sticks, and we would say we're making pencils, and we were going to sell the pencils.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I do.
So commerce was clearly on our mind.
I'm still selling pencils in some way or another. We all are.
You're selling artifacts. But the other thing I remember about you, and maybe we'll get into this, is you were very good at hospitality. You were good at the cutting of the carrots. You were good at the washing of the tables. And then later on, I looked up and there you were at the hotel school. Do you have any sense of connection between those two things?
Yeah, I think I've always been interested in serving in some way or another. So the fact is, I don't know where it came from. I can guess to say that, I had 2 working parents. My mother, so my father was working and my mother was in the office quite a lot. And so I had very good nannies, and they would be cooking and I'd be, hip to hip as they would be cooking or preparing a meal. And so I'd naturally help out. And so a lot of the time spent before school, after school, were with nannies. And so I sort of modeled that behavior. So it's not surprising to me that I like that stuff. And that's kind of where I always drew to. Certainly, my parents, by their own admission, are not cooks. I don't think they're not natural hosts in a sense, so they're not like entertaining all the time. So that's I think where it probably came from.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because the people with whom we spent time as little people, we both had working parents, and you had nannies and I had nanas, and I think I underestimate some of those lessons that you learn when you are hip to hip, day to day. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure for. Listen, I like the idea even today, and I'm not serving, I'm not cutting carrots, I'm not making meals, but there is a certain um, sense of completion, and that the act is you're done doing right. So after you've done a task, and I've worked in kitchens, right? You're doing the prep before a meal service, right? Here you've got, a bin of potatoes to process, right? There's something very, very fulfilling about seeing a beginning, a middle, and an end, and putting your work aside and being done with it.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so when you enter the professional world, that work kind of never ends, right? It's not very satisfying. It just projects just elongate. Then there's the next one and the next one. You don't have a bookend necessarily. Typically, you don't.
No, and I actually didn't realize how much of a bookend I needed until the pandemic because I was one of these people who was very even though my mom was like a very early work from home 2 days a week telecommuter, like I was like I will work in the office. I will come home, I will put my BlackBerry somewhere and I will do my best to be done. And when the pandemic hit, I realized I was having trouble like shutting down and so cooking a meal, like cooking dinner became my way of okay, your brain has to focus on this thing that has to get done. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so to this day, like these rituals of how do you shut down? Hillary works from home in her studio, but in New York, when she comes through that door, I used to say, "Welcome home." The step between her studio and our kitchen was like not that long, but it was this idea of we're now in a
Hmm.
new space.
Hmm. Hmm.
Speaking of,
Um,
oh yeah, go ahead.
no, 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 no. I think that's listen. That's a whole separate topic. But you asked me about hospitality. That's very interesting that you put that together. But I think that's kind of where it came from, and we were able to explore that as tiny little people. Um, but boy, what a meaningful experience I think we had at that place. It was really a special place.
Shout out to Mrs. Grady,
And
Mrs.
then
Donahue.
what was the deal with like at the end of the day, like what was the song that we danced around to?
I only remember America the Beautiful.
It was some sort of patriotic tune that we would we would
Yeah,
march around in a circle.
that's right. We'd march around in a circle. We'd have our little name tags. We'd learn like how do you put a jacket on, like flip it up.
I think we all need those like those basic life skills, and then you get beyond there, and you lose them all. I mean, where's the life skills around doing your taxes and all these other things? Those should be part of the curriculum. I think ongoing, right?
I think Montessori for adults because I think it is this idea, and as you said, they treated us like little people, and that to me is actually one of the core things that's animating why I'm talking to people like you at this moment, right? Like I got an email from a classmate, Rory, who said, I'm interviewing members of the class of 2001 in anticipation of our reunion at Princeton. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's coming. It's been
Yeah,
25 years. And at Princeton, they mark it where you move out of the beer jackets and into the blazer.
yeah.
And I always thought of the blazer people as like old.
Wait, that happens at 25.
Yeah.
You're getting a blazer.
Yeah.
They make you pay for that too.
I mean, aging is a privilege, Jeff.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I remember asking. That's because you and I went to I think we went to a reunion. You
Yes.
took me to a reunion. Yeah.
Yes. So
Um,
I'm a blazer person. So I was like, you know what? I don't feel like a blazer person. And I'm curious if other people are sort of feeling, that this is 25 years past college, X many years past nursery school. But like, do you have an earlier version of yourself that you feel suspended in?
I don't know. I think so. I think it, but I think it's true for everybody. Like I don't see myself as aging, but then you look in the mirror, like, well, wait a minute, I'm aging. Um, and there are certainly things that if I were to think back to go back to my 20s or something like that. It's like I don't necessarily long for that time all, universally, right? There are aspects of this I'm like I'm much happier now. I love having a family. I love having a home. Um there are certain things that I really love about the now, and of course that. But you look back and you say, "Boy, this I miss that aspect." But it's never the same, right? It's never. I listen. I think about the thing that I think about a lot with my children is like I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s with a cell phone. Honestly, the things that I did in college and beyond, like if there was YouTube available, I do not think I'd be employable. So, like the fact that there's no video evidence of that is a good thing, right? Because you make stupid choices, you do stupid things, and the fact that that stuff's not permanent, thank goodness. Now it is. It's very different.
It's totally different. I mean, you know, being eligible for a job is one thing, but like when you were growing up, this is something I'm also curious about. You mentioned your parents both worked, you had nannies. What did you think adulthood meant? Like, did you have a story like when I grow up, it's going to mean X?
I didn't. Did you?
I was realizing that early on I wanted to be a tax collector. I don't I don't know.
It's not a. I thought you were going to tell me you wanted to be like on the USTA tour, but no, you want to be a tax collector. Okay.
So I don't know. I think a lot of my ideas were not even stemming from reality. I was watching a lot of Family Ties. I love Michael J. Fox as Alex P. Keaton. I think, look, culture trickles down too, just like economics, apparently. I also think the thing I think a lot about is when I was younger, like little kid, no, I don't, to your point, I don't think I really had a concept. I think it's more in the last like 10 years or so that I'm realizing there's no real end point. There's no real like you're done getting it right or understanding or knowing. And it's this constant unfolding. And I guess I just took it for granted that that would stop somehow.
Okay. And to that point, I can tell you that I think, and I'm sure this is shared by a lot of kids, right? Like I think there's this myth or this illusion that adults know what's going on, right? They've got it figured out. It's like, and the reality is like, no, they don't, right? No, they don't. The teacher, the parent, the this, the that, like, they didn't, they don't have, there's no playbook that they get access to at a certain point that has it all figured out, right? And so that's the point. Is there are no right or wrong answers, right? And that, so that's a reality you hit when you hit adulthood. You're like, wait a minute, like, you have, I think, there's certain milestones: get married, have children, buy a house, right? You know, you don't feel it's a marker, but you don't necessarily get handed the keys to some sort of oracle that you could got it all figured out. It's like, no. And then you realize how dumb a lot of people are, and yet they're successful, which is a whole different topic. You could do a whole series on that.
Let's do that.
Right? Like, I mean, we all encounter those people too. It's like, how did that happen? Okay.
Well, speaking of encountering people, I mean, I know you and I, share a commuter rail line, and I've noticed this for a little bit, but I've had different like work uniforms, so like starting out in corporate law, like I've worn business formal, I've worn business casual, but it hit me a few days ago, like on the path, like we're all adults in sneakers, in jeans, with backpacks. There's not even like a sartorial distinction necessarily anymore.
Not
Have you
anymore.
noticed, like, right?
Yeah. 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 And when I talk to, like, this is a few years back, but I talked to a friend of mine who's an analyst with uh, covering technology and stuff, you know, and I see a picture of him with a well-known CEO, and he's sitting there, in a t-shirt and sneakers. I said, "You have to get dressed up for these events?" He goes, "No," because, the richest guys in the rooms are always the most crumbly dressed guys, right? T-shirt, shorts. He goes, so it's sort of trickled down to even the folks who are covering it now. So yeah, I mean, I think that's across the board. And I think there's always been talk that stuff's going to come back, but it's not coming back in my life. I can tell you that much.
It's not coming back here.
I mean, I just like it's bias towards comfort.
Me too. Me too. Are there things that you've just been sort of known for or rewarded for in the past that you're like, that's cool, but I don't necessarily want that anymore. It's that difference between what can you do versus what you want to do, I guess.
I can't think of anything, Ara, but I will say, like, I've arranged my life for better or worse, right? I think that there are certain things that, but I've arranged my life in such a way that it does hit on those. I think that it does touch on those things, and perhaps leverages those things that I'm particularly adept at. And I think
Mhm.
that's true for all of us, or should be, right? You sort of
Right.
fall into it. So that's what I do. And where I've had gaps in my life that I feel like are missing, like, creative outlets and things like that, I've attempted to fill them to the best of my abilities and what I can do. Um, but I think as I've gotten older, you know, your values tend to shift a little bit, and my value now is really around being present for my kids and being there when they get home from school. And I've sort of, for somewhere or another, have been able to engineer a professional life that affords me that luxury, and I truly believe it's a luxury. um, so who knows, in a different life, maybe I'd have a private jet. I'm not going to have one in this life, but I do have time, and it's sort of that value, right? You look at what you really, what's meaningful to you. um,
Yeah. No, I
so I
think
feel very
time
fortunate.
is, I think that's awesome. I think time is, I think for me, that is the thing I realized not too late, but pretty early on in my career that time rather than money was actually going to end up being more precious and something I would have to navigate toward and work for and strive for. So
Yeah,
resonate.
yeah,
I'm curious about boundaries. So you mentioned your kids, growing up in this age of like constant connectivity. We were sort of this cuspy generation, right? Like
yep.
totally analog childhoods, pretty analog-ish right up until college and then even still. And
Hmm.
then late adulthood or middle adulthood, constantly connected. Um, do you have boundaries that you've set for yourself around connectivity?
Very few, very few, and much to my detriment. I mean, I think particularly in the bedroom, right?
Yeah.
you know so, like, I'll listen to podcasts, I'll listen to things, and it's like, is that having an impact on my sleep and the quality? It probably is, right? It most definitely is. But I've always been, I think, very much ahead. So, thinking back to a friend, remember Ned?
Yes, Ned Phillips,
Of course you did.
Edmund.
So Ned was a very close friend of mine in, like, third grade, fourth grade. And Ned's dad was a IT professional with UPS. Early days, like Unix, like writing code. And we used to go up to, his dad had an office in Montclair up in his attic, and he had computers and parts, and this was in, what, let's figure, this is what, 1988, 1989, like somewhere around there. And his dad was such a nice guy, would show us how to write little bits of, like, basic code, and show us how to operate these very you know original legacy IBM computers, and I got obsessed with it. And so, I've always been very attracted to technology and what it can do. I'm not like a gadget geek. I don't have all that stuff, but I do love it. I often think about it. Like, I love the fact that this information is so here. So it's very hard for me to turn it off. That said, I have boundaries, set up for the kids. Um, so that's a given. But for my own life, it's hard. I also read a ton on the phone. I don't. Do you read on an electronic device, or are you reading on paper?
I mean, paper is my first choice, but I clearly spend a lot of time on my screen. It's like I can read newspapers, like digital media, like news, but I don't like reading. Like I don't like a Kindle. I don't like. I gotta buy it, like
Yeah,
the hand version,
yeah, yeah,
print. I like printed matter.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think as time goes on, it'll be we're going to see more guardrails. I think, whether it's legislatively or culturally, to see other guardrails come up with regard to, like, technology. I really do believe that. I think, you see it with some kids now. Not necessarily my children are a little young, but some of the older kids are putting the brakes themselves and self governing how they're using technology. but it's tough. It's just, it's part of, it's part of every day, right? It's just
It's
hard to
ubiquitous.
divorce yourself of that.
Or it's hard even to feel like you have to kind of make a very conscious, like, I am not going to look at my phone today. Versus, I don't think I had that feeling when I was attached to the corded phone as a teenager, because I was attached to that too. But it was more like, yes, it's totally natural. I'm going to spend 3 hours talking at night to the people I saw 2 minutes ago. I don't have a problem.
Right.
This is just life.
Right. Um, yeah, yeah, it's interesting to see what happens. Interesting to see what happens. I don't know. I don't know the world in which, my kids 10 and 9, what what their world is gonna look like from a technology standpoint. I just don't know. It's hard to know. And AI brings in a whole nother thing, which is, I think, even more potentially problematic in certain ways. But I ain't a futurist, so I don't know. I'll leave that to
No,
somebody else.
you're a present day, see it as it comes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's
No, that's good. I mean, I think the thing is, are there things about, you know, living in the present is great, but are there things where you look back and you're just like, huh, this is still unfinished, and I'm kind of excited about what comes next for me.
such as what, Ara? What do you mean?
Well, I feel like right now I'm in a transition mode where, well, like, I'm constantly in transition mode in terms of like professionally. People are like, what are you doing today? Are you like, what's happening? And I think I've been searching a lot through full-time roles, right? Like law firm, working in higher ed,
Yeah.
going back to the law firm, working in finance. And each one has taught me something about myself, where it has all landed basically right back to nursery school, where I'm reading the primary phonics books. Like, it's all about storytelling for me.
Hmm.
And so in this current moment, it's been really fascinating for me. I don't know about the people who live with me, but I'm not in a full time role. And I have as you said earlier, like the privilege of exploring. And I'm almost living in my own little Montessori school right now, where I'm like, oh, today I can wake up and do this, and tomorrow I can do that. And I'm realizing that there are all of these parts of me that just were kind of, I was doing them to the side. But when you get full access to yourself, there are all sorts of things that come out. Like, okay, I wanted to do a podcast in 2018, but I was like, it's too hard to distribute, too hard to record.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here I am, just like, yeah, do it.
Um, it is, it is, yeah, no, I think it is, it is the case. I can't say if there's anything that I want to do. As I said, like, I think I've continued to move some stuff along. Are there other aspects of professionally that I sure, I think there always are. But I'd say that the aspects of my life that I that are become harder, and COVID was a huge, detour, right? Is really around like personal relationships, right? You know, friendships, connections, those kinds of things. It's just, you live in the suburbs, friends move along. And again, COVID really put a wrinkle in this, right? Because people just moved to places you'd never think people would move, right? They're no longer within 20 miles of New York City anymore. It's like they're moving out of the country, and this place and that place. So the effort required to do that is something that I think I'm taking a lot more seriously, particularly as we approach this milestone of us, 25th year out of college, and all the things that come with it, and along with time, is those relationships and connections that are so critical.
Yeah. I mean, selfishly, that's why I do this. I like to catch up with people. I mean, it's like, it's almost, I
You've
interview
been
people.
always very good, but this is, I feel like, again, you think about what you're leveraging, what your strengths are, right? You've always been, I think, you've taken a very conscious approach towards keeping those relationships going, right? And it's a real point of a character for you, and that's critical, and that's exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and why folks like me are so appreciative that you're doing it, because it forces us to maintain these connections.
Well, thank you. And listeners,
And
Jeff.
when you have like your podcast cruise, we can all be on it.
See, there's the hospitality. Are
Yeah, yeah,
you
listen, we get a cruise line and they all show up. It's like, I haven't seen you in 30 years. Hey, how you doing?
okay? I heard it here first. We're doing an I'm Your Two cruise organized by Jeff Gurtman.
Sure.
Okay, great. Love it. And will you provide the catering too?
No, the cruise line does that, dear.
Okay.
We just arrange what we want to serve.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great.
Okay.
My gears, I'm like, wait, what's happening? Okay. Focus. Speaking of focus, so 25 years, we're sitting there in our respective, educational institutions, and there's a commencement speaker, two or three or four, depending on your school up there. If you were talking to that audience, and that audience of you, Jeff Gurtman, forget your classmates, what would you tell yourself back in 2001?
Great question. I will. There was such at the time, and maybe this is true of any generation in time, but I think you and I we're the same age, right? So think back to that time and place, 2001. There was, at least at Cornell, and I'm sure at other competitive schools, there was this real push to be like, you're going into finance, real estate, working for a big consulting firm. By the way, the consulting firms that everyone wanted to work for, they don't exist anymore, half of them, more than half of them, right? They're nowhere to be seen. And there was a lot of social pressure to do that. And so I would certainly say, listen, there was very little latitude for someone to go, I'm going to work for a small business. I'm going to work for a startup. I'm going to work for my dad's company and grow it, right? You'd almost people look around and say, what, are you crazy? You're not working for Accenture? Well, what's wrong with you?
All right.
And so I think it's very easy at 20, 21 years old to really buy into that. Like, I need to have the polo shirt with the Accenture and go to their, camp down in St. Petersburg and it's all nonsense, right? First of all, what am I consulting on? I don't even know anything, but okay. So separating that and really having the confidence, easier said than done, that there are many paths to take, right? Working for your dad's plumbing company and growing that business is a viable path to take. And by the way, it doesn't mean you're not going to drive a nice car or live in a nice house or have a nice neighborhood. Heck, it may even be better. And so I think that's changed, right? The good news is I think the startup culture has certainly changed that attitude, right? Working for a small company that makes no money because you're going to get a little piece of equity, but you're going to work yourself to the bone to really kind of get it there. And it may or may not work. That's an acceptable path now socially, I think, that didn't exist when we were there. So I think it's really trusting there's a lot of different avenues people can take, and it's not always the one that that's the most popular at the time. That would be my message. I think I gave up on a lot of potential opportunities that I would have been very happy with and succumbed to some of the social pressure to work in, corporate real estate, which quite honestly, I have no business being in corporate real estate. It's just not it's my strength, sitting slaving over some, Excel model is just not really what I want to do.
And that's so interesting, Jeff. I hadn't actually thought about it until you just mentioned it. But growing up, I mean, we went to a private school, and there were actually a lot of folks whose parents were growing family businesses, or, it wasn't all one kind of professional, but yet I don't think we were as attuned to that. Like, I remember my dad came in and we made business cards, and like he came to my first grade class, and but there wasn't a lot of talk about, oh, there are alternatives. And that's true. That consulting wave, I wanted to go work for like March 1st. Like, what were they doing?
I remember them.
Because they had
They
a
gave out a
cool
mini CD.
website.
They gave out
Yes.
like a mini CD. I got it. It's like,
Yes.
it wouldn't load into a CD-ROM. Yeah. Where are those guys?
Right. Scient, March 1st is all like this, like information architecture consulting. But who is there? WPRB 103.3 FM, the radio station where I was the sales director. That's still there.
That's still there. And I remember sitting in one of these consulting companies that doesn't exist. I don't think it existed much beyond 2001. And I remember being on the call with them, and I was so excited to get an interview because I was a good student. I wasn't a great student in college. And so, but if somehow I was a good networker, and sometimes they gave me an interview, right? and I think the interview question, I maybe missed was like, how many, with just a penny in your hand, how would you measure the total um, length or height rather of the Empire State Building? So you're familiar with, I mean, and I'm
Oh,
like, and I'd heard like these tales about these story, oh, they're going to ask you these questions. And like, I think I gave some sort of ridiculous response. I never heard back from him again.
but I love that you mentioned that, Jeff, because like you were at Cornell, I was at Princeton, but I was hooked into, LSAT. I'm going to go to Kaplan. I'm going to study for it. You want to go to med school, you take the MCATs. Nobody was telling me, Ara, you got to go get that book on case interviews because there's like a method to when you walk into this room. And it was just, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just I didn't realize the structure behind the thing.
I mean, I do a lot of hiring. I've done a lot of hiring in my life, a lot of hiring, a lot of firing. I mean, I think through a lot of people running a, a smaller business. I gotta say, like the idea of this case study, and I'm sure people a heck of a lot smarter than me did the work to. I don't know what I'd gather from somebody hiring somebody based on the answer to that question, right?
Right.
For me, as someone who's hiring, who's working with this person, their answer to that question, I don't think would give me the confidence or lack thereof to make a hiring decision. Say, oh, that's my person. Oh, Barbara, she's got it right. So there's a lot of aspects in hiring, and by the way, so much of hiring, like people get it wrong a lot, and so it's not always about the hiring. It's about knowing when to cut your losses and letting folks go. I mean, that's ultimately where it comes down to, is like not marrying your mistakes, and it works through on the on the employee side too. It's like, oops, I shouldn't be here. Right, this doesn't work for me. That happens a lot. So I think back to that question all the time. It's like, thank goodness they never hired me. I was like, I wasn't the right fit, clearly. So maybe it did work.
Well, yeah. I could do them. We on the cruise, you and I will do some mini lectures on hiring, onboarding, firing.
I
So
yeah.
meet us on the Lido deck at 3 p.m.
Yeah, I forgot you have your HR background as well. So
Like,
in your briefcase of roles, right? I mean, you were.
yeah,
So
I've
it's
been,
yeah. Anyway, that would be my message
yeah,
to graduates, right? Is that I think there was a stigma attached to working for a small company or working for your dad's, packaged goods business or his, bodega restocking business, which by the way, probably minted him a few mil a year, right?
yeah,
That's how he's paying for the country club. That's how he's doing that. And it's under the radar, and he's building equity in this business. And that's the guy you should be emulating. That's the gal you should be emulating, not necessarily go and work for these fly by night companies where the only folks who are benefiting are the board members and shareholders of this thing. As a junior associate, it's not going to get you very far. So live and learn.
live and learn. I love that advice. Live and learn and be open. Okay, so Jeff, you've made it. You've made it to the lightning round. Are you ready?
Sure.
It's like, sure, whatever. I don't know what this is. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do the lightning round, our shared operating system. I've got 4 categories. Each category has three questions. It's going to be a this or a that. There are really no rules. You can have commentary. Just we'll do one and I'll show you. So the first category is pop culture. Okay.
Okay.
MTV's The Real World or VH1's Behind the Music.
Real world.
Okay. It was like a
It's just,
definitive.
I mean, I mean, okay.
Okay.
Behind
Okay.
the music's fine. It's just, real world's just more entertaining.
Okay. Did you have a season in mind?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Anyone beats. Okay.
No, but I'm saying just in terms of, and also just I mean, the real world became so many. Think about what that show birthed in terms of a genre, right?
Yes. Well, we'll leave it there.
What would you pick?
What would I pick? I
Yeah,
would pick The Real World.
yeah.
I would pick The Real World, but I might pick like the SNL skit with Bob Dole's chair. They have
Okay.
Bob Dole as a member of the House, and he's mad about people being in his chair, so they kick him out. He's like walking down the street with his chair. Okay, so that's where I am. But I agree. All right, appointment TV or binge culture.
I guess, I mean, appointment TV. I mean, sure, appointment TV. I like both, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me double down on that one. So would it be must see TV NBC Thursday? Would it be TGIF ABC, or would it be something on HBO?
Sopranos,
Okay.
Mad Men, Sopranos, yeah, Breaking Bad, yeah,
I mean, you had to say The Sopranos, Essex
yeah,
County.
or now, like, Severance, right? Great.
Okay. The thing that makes me sad is that it's hard to know with whom you're making the appointments because everybody's in their own, like, there's a few things that coalesce, right? That people are watching, but then the seasons take a long time, and then you got to like remember who's watching Severance, who's watching Pluribus,
Yeah, and
who's
sometimes
watching
I'll save them
Industry.
up too. So I'm gonna throw a wrinkle in your question, which is sometimes it's appointment TV that you then put into a queue so you can watch them in succession. Now it's a little bit of a hybrid approach.
Okay, that's a true Montessori student.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
take
want to wait. I'd rather get my waiting done up front so
right then. Just
I
go.
can scratch that itch all at once.
All right, I did that. I do that with rewatches. Like I just rewatched Ozark and Homeland. I was like, got seasons ahead.
I could rewatch The Sopranos, and I have rewatched The Sopranos so many times, particularly with like where we grew up and just like the familiarity I am with the places and I mean the people. Like I mean, I will go unnamed, but there's certainly people we were in school with where I was like, okay, okay, this is like
It's
I get
real.
it. I've seen that guy at carpool pickup. Like I know that guy.
I think I saw him on a college visit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I rewatched it. I remember rewatching it when I was still living in Princeton, and I think I went to Hoagie Haven like disproportionately more while I was rewatching it.
I love Hoagie Haven.
Yeah,
It's a good place.
yeah, get a meatball parm. All right, now I'm getting hungry. All right, cassette mixtape or Spotify playlist,
Cassette mixtape.
hands down.
Absolutely. I mean, this there was not only was there thoughtful curation, but you also had the sort of technical acumen required to queue up, hit it right, get the marks right. I mean that's I mean that's my geek side, right? I like that. So yes.
Were you somebody who's hands on to cassettes? Were you doing from CDs? Were you doing from radio? Like, what was your
Definitely not from radio.
okay?
Definitely not from radio. Probably from CDs or from two cassettes. Yeah, probably cop dubbing from a different, like the dual cassette decks for sure.
Did you have a specified length of cassette? Because there were different.
I remember going to Sam Goody at the Willowbrook Mall, and they had like an entire wall of blank cassettes. And if you remember, like all different price points, all different like they started to get so technical, like the Maxell Chrome XL2, and it was in like a
It's
bronze
old.
package, like foil wrapped as if it's like some like unearthed treasure. I don't know whether it was a 90. And then if you remember, like people would try and squeeze more content. So they would go to slower play on the tape, which would
Oh,
which would then like do something with the compression, right? So you'd be able to fit more audio minutes on the tape, but it would sound like total crap. So like, yeah, it was, yeah.
okay. All right. Yeah. I also just there's something about I can like talk about sensory. I can hear the like case opening. It's slightly like resistant, a little like the plastic. Like
Yeah.
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 That it's such I hear a song now. I'm an Apple Music person in my so but I hear a song and I just get it, but there's no ceremony behind it, right? You just download it and I listen to it. I'm like, okay. I find myself listening to music now so much more on YouTube. I'm a huge YouTube fan. I have YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium is the last subscription I will ever give up.
What's so unique about it for you?
It's it's very narrow, right? So my interests tend to be very deep and very narrow. So like, I'll go on a spin where I'm religious cults or, and then I'll go to a tangent around multi-level marketing. And, so like the fact that I can go deep in a topic and have that is great. Also like YouTube Premium, I think it's just an incredible value, right? So you got all this content, the music's great, live performances. It's a great it's my cable
It's your
TV,
go-to.
right? I give up everything else, my HBO, my Netflix, it's all gone. I'd keep that,
That's a ringing endorsement in this age.
and I mean it.
You mean it. I love it. And you're not getting paid to say it. So
I wish.
we're moving into free time because obviously back then we had a lot of free time. Oregon Trail or Carmen San Diego,
Carmen San Diego,
a particular like version.
any of them.
Okay.
The Oregon Trail is I've tried to play it recently, which is like you can get it. Like it's no, no.
No. Okay.
I mean, it was
We,
fine during school when they let you play it, but Carmen San Diego is.
I'm curious about school since I don't have kids. Do your kids like go into like a lab and play computer games as part of their day?
They all have Chromebooks,
Okay.
which for a Google product as good as YouTube Premium and is as poor as a Chromebook is. Um, they all have their Chromebooks. Do they play games? They're allowed to play like certain like web-based sort of programs, at least my kids. So like they have subscriptions to like some sort of math program, but it's basically the same thing, right? It's Math Blaster, but it's much more current and it's on a web browser instead of on a floppy disk.
Oh my God, Math Blaster. I
Math
haven't thought
Blaster.
of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Whew, number crunchers.
Yeah. I mean, I remember sitting there like shoulder to shoulder
Right.
in that lab. Yeah.
Yep. Our Apple 2Es, 2Cs.
Oh, I've thought recently about buying an Apple IIe or Apple IIc.
Do they still sell them?
Well, you get them on eBay or
Right,
get them.
right.
I saw them at an estate sale in my passing, and then I'm like, okay, realistically, what is this doing for me? Because I find joy in it. Like I would love to set it up and I'd tweak it and but I know if I showed it to my son, he would look at me like, "What are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing?"
He's like your Ned Phillips dad.
Yeah, except with 40-year-old technology. Like, what are you doing, man? It's like the equivalent of like a transistor radio. It's like, what are you doing?
So you guys aren't in the garage
I don't need
fixing
that ridicule
cars
in my
and
life,
computers? Okay. All right.
but I kind of do want it. I like the feel of it, the sort of slightly pebbled plastic on the side. I do like it.
All I know is when I got my Apple 2GS, I felt really cool
Yeah,
back in the day.
that thing was good.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you know what the GS stands for, Ara?
I don't tell me
Graphics and sound.
all these years.
Yeah, because it
Graphics,
was sort of like the precursor to the Mac.
right?
It's like the Apple II. It's sort of like that cusp right before they kind of transitioned. But yeah, it stands for graphics and sound, and it was so much better. Remember how cool we thought the graphics was? We pop it in, be like, "Oh, this is amazing."
It's like so like sleek, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Um, reading Rainbow or Saturday morning cartoons?
I wasn't a big Reading Rainbow fan. I like when I was little, I liked the Smurfs on a Saturday morning.
I can't I was thinking back, there were a lot of hours of Saturday morning programming. And I think it started pretty early. I think it started at like 6 a.m. because
Yeah,
by 11 I had to go to like dance class, but I had watched like at least 5 shows.
yeah. My cartoon consumption was much more after school, like a lot of like DuckTales. I love DuckTales.
Woo!
Yeah, those I do watch with the kids. Um, those I do watch. Those have aged fairly well, actually.
I don't know if you know, growing up when we were in nursery school, my parents had a rule like I could only watch PBS after school. So it was like I could only watch Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, maybe 321 Contact, but that was a little bit too old. And we had a friend across the street, I think Ruben Atlas, right, lived across the
Mhm.
street. And I think I got invited over and he was watching He Man. And I had this very big conflict like, but I'm not allowed to watch this. Such a
Mhm.
goody goody.
Um, go rewatch an episode of He-Man, and let's reconvene at a later date and see what you think.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I've
probably,
I've I've, I've rewatched it in the last probably 5 years with my son.
yeah.
some interesting themes.
Okay.
It's rough.
Shira still going strong too, or just
Princess
He-Man?
of Power? No, with her odd like alien orc or whatever that would float around that they like. I think they added just because it was like sort of Ghostbusters era, and they needed a character that filled that void of like a like a Slimer-esque character.
The
He Man's a weird show, but
Okay,
anyway.
I'll see what I can do. I'll go see Hillary's YouTube Premium. Inspector Gadget, though, that was a show that I
Yeah,
watched,
yeah,
and even now,
infuriating, but yes,
I feel like with my Apple, I'm finally Penny.
yeah, but infuriating premise.
Right. Well, because he never knew, and she never got credit. We'll
But
we'll
good.
we'll add that to our programming for the cruise. Um, record store or library?
I guess record store.
You mentioned Sam Goody and Willowbrook. Did you have any
Yeah,
others?
yeah, I go there. I go there.
Yeah, not
We
Livingston.
didn't have a, where I grew up, there was no library, right?
Really?
No, you had the Caldwell Library,
Oh,
and there was no, North Caldwell. It's just houses. There's no downtown, certainly not. And so when I moved, I made this decision early on. I even when we were living when I was living in Lambertville and you were in Princeton and stuff. I was like, anywhere I move, I need to have a sidewalk that goes somewhere. Like it can't just go to the next door neighbor's house. Like it needs to go, so it needs to terminate somewhere, a town, a village, a pizza place, a dry cleaner. I don't care. It's got to go somewhere. And so where we live now is like, I have to live somewhere. Like we could have gotten a much bigger house and a bigger plot of land somewhere else. But I'm like, ultimately, like I want the kids to be able to go somewhere. So that is what, so the kids use the library a ton. And I think I would have too. They can walk to the library by themselves, go take out books by themselves, come home. So, that's a key component. So the record store probably only because it was probably more readily available to me than the library.
Jeff, I love that. I want a sidewalk that goes somewhere, and making it so like that's I've never heard that. I mean, I've heard Shel Silverstein's where the sidewalk ends, but this concept of like I want to be able to get places from my place where I live be integrated. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really, my kids, they have a freedom that exists that I never had. I think kids when we were in school, kids in Montclair had it, Ara. Like the kids in Montclair would go to like Mr. Dino for pizza, and I remember that. It was like how freeing. Like you don't have to ask mom and dad for a ride. Like this is amazing. So I really wanted that same thing for my kids that they could go somewhere. So if my son is at a friend's house, they'll walk into the village, they'll get pizza together, they'll go to like the supermarket and get a candy and walk around and, you know, think they're causing mischief as fifth graders. They're not doing anything, but it's great. I think it affords them this independence away from mom and dad, and we know where they are and everything else. So that's what I did not have growing up. And
Right. And I didn't either because you had to wait until you got the car. That was the
yeah, or
milestone.
mom or dad could take you somewhere.
Right. Right.
So we have friends, neighbors across the street whose children are like in ninth and 10th grade. It's like something like they don't even see their kids. Their kids they go do homework at a friend's house. They come back after dark, and that's fine, right? And
Old
just like with an
school.
Apple Watch, you know where they are. They have a phone. You can get in touch with them if you need to. But like that's awesome. All right, that's really so. When people say, "Why do you pay ridiculous New Jersey taxes to live where you live?" I say, "This is why, because you cannot find me another place that I'm still 25 minutes from New York City, that I can afford this level of freedom for my kids and have what I have here." I've never seen it. So
It's awesome. All right.
that's why I'm here.
You're going to clean up in this category next one.
Okay, go.
Technology. All
Yeah.
right. Game Boy or Etch a Sketch?
Game Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. BlackBerry or pager?
I never had either. Pass.
Pass. Did you have any? Okay.
I think I had a Palm Trio, but anything was junk. Yeah.
Did you ever have a Newton? Okay. We'll pass. This one I'm curious actually. DOS or Mac OS?
Oh, I love DOS. Oh, this is what I loved it. I loved it because I'd like tweak it. I just, yeah, yeah. Did you
Where
play in DOS at all as a kid?
Oh my God, Cynthia would have loved to know this about you. We tease her. She was like, Ara, DOS is the language of the future. You need to learn it.
I mean, I remember, and this is like, we're going like major geek. Like, I remember spending a Saturday afternoon, like editing an auto exec bat file. Yeah, I'm speaking another language, or your config.sys. Like
Okay.
these are the
Yeah.
system files that would basically batch file would tell the computer what to do when it started up. And I'd tweak it like I wanted to open this game, but do it in this way. And so I'd adjust it. It was so satisfying to make these very simple commands and you
Right.
learn how to do them and then you'd run it and it would do it. And I love programming in that way. I'm not a programmer, but I love, understanding how that works and how those instructions are laid out. I think it's again, it speaks to this very satisfying bookend, this end point where you get it's this completion.
Yes.
Um, so
That I agree with. But let me add one more. Logo.
yeah,
Remember?
logo's fine.
Okay. Was that
I
easy
used
for
to
you?
spend like I used to buy logo books, which would give you full like single spaced logo instructions to create a graphic or a very simple game. And there was no way to like you couldn't scan it in, right? I'd type it line by line into logo and run it, and then I'd see the output of it. But they'd sell these books that you just transposed into logo. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I did it a lot.
Final category,
Mm-hmm.
signals. Okay. Aim away message or LinkedIn headline.
Okay, here's another one. I never used America on that's America Online message. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it obviously.
Yes.
I was never really on that. And as far as LinkedIn is concerned, I mean, unless I'm looking for a job, I don't think I'm on it.
It's okay. We know you're on
I mean,
IC
what would I tell you as an equivalent to that? Um, I don't have one, but
CB radio.
say what?
CB radio.
I did have a CB radio. I did.
See? I
I
know
did.
you.
I did, and I lived close enough to Route 80 that I talked to truckers as they drove by Totowa. So thank you for reminding me of that. That unlocked a memory. I did have it.
Did you have like a name, like a handle?
No, I didn't get that. I didn't get that involved. I just like the idea that it was connected. Like I love this. It was before like cell phones, really, right? You had car phones, but I didn't have a car phone. I just like this idea that's connected. And I also like the feel of it, and I liked like a lot of like 70s like adventure and action. I just like the idea of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I did have one.
Love that.
A Cobra. That was the brand.
Cobra.
A
Okay.
Cobra CB radio. Yeah.
It's like that thing you like press the
I
side, right? And
love
you
it.
talk
Oh
in.
my God,
Yeah,
the best. It's so natural. Like, it's just feels right.
it's right. Oh my gosh, Jeff, this is so fun. All right. Last two.
Yeah.
Private ambition or public metrics.
Uh Private ambition.
Okay. This last one has sparked a lot of discussion, and so I'm going to really clarify. So, pass a note or leave a message on a voice on like an answering machine.
Pass a note.
Hmm. Okay. Were you doing multi-page notes? Were you making them into
Oh no.
shapes? Like a little.
No. I mean, if I did, no one would be able to read my illegible handwriting anyway. But no, pass it. Pass it. Right. Um,
Okay. Great. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about these things all these many years later. I'm so excited I'm excited to go find your CB radio and maybe,
oh,
contact you that
where is
way
that thing?
next time.
I toss that thing somewhere down the line. Yeah. No, this is great. I look forward to seeing the whole series and seeing familiar faces.
Well, it will be on YouTube, so we'll get you there. All right, Jeff,
Awesome.
thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Sarah.
Well, that's all for this episode of I'm Here Too. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed our conversation. Please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss the next conversation. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.